What up, what up, what up? You tuned in to the Jose Morales podcast where we talk sports, business, and everything in between. I am your host, Jose Morales. And joining me in the ring today is my man, Elmer De Leon. My man, we here. Say what's up, man.
What's up, guys? What's up? My name's Elmer. Last name is De Leon. In Spanish, you know what that means. The lion.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Hey,
Yeah,
that's
man.
tight. I never put too much thought into that. So, Elmer here, what we're going to talk about today is just a quick little summary. We're going to go into detail about being a dreamer. And those that do not know what a dreamer is, a dreamer is somebody that was brought to the U.S. Undocumented before the age of 16. And if you were brought to the U.S. before the age of 16, you're considered a dreamer. And there's not necessarily anybody undocumented. So if you came to the U.S. as an adult, 30, 40 years old, and you came here legally, you're not a dreamer. That's not a dreamer. A dreamer is someone that was brought here by their parents or somebody, their guardian. And both Elmer and I have that in common. So we're going to share our story. We're going to go into detail about how it was living in the U.S. as a dreamer. And but before we do that, I kind of wanted to get into a little history, a little background on both Elmer and I. Elmer and I both actually lived on Sayonara.
We did.
Yeah, we
right.
both lived on Sayonara Drive back in the day. That's actually where I first came across Elmer as a kid. And then I didn't actually see him again because I disappeared until we were working at Granitos. Remember the
Granitos,
rewrong?
Italian restaurant.
Yeah, we were
right
working
off
at the
Pleasant
restaurant.
Grove.
Yeah, you were the
Server.
and I was a busser.
Yep.
Yep. That's the next time I connected with him. And at that time, that's actually when we actually connected more. Like I actually started talking to you more, seeing you. Because prior to that, on Sayonara, literally, it was just like a hi and bye. It wasn't really like a connect, like we were going out and talking. So at that time is when we actually shared that we were both dreamers, and we got familiar with each other's story. And I remember when the Dream Act first came up, we were pumped up about it. Remember?
I'm super excited, man, to just be able to get a chance to do what we've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Just to get a chance. That's it.
Exactly. So how old were you when you came to the U.S.? You?
Parents brought me here when I was, I think it was 3.5.
3.5? And how was that for you? Like,
See,
how was that? Like the process? Like, how'd you get here?
my parents, there's a song out there in Spanish. It's La Mochila Azul. I mean, obviously there's a story how we get over here as illegal immigrants, whatever age you are at. But the coyote, right? The coyote. This guy brought me on his backpack, and I was 3 years old, small little thing, and he just threw me in his backpack. He carried me, and I have like little faint memories of it. Of just being in a backpack, and my parents were like, yeah, he carried you in his back and
So
all this stuff.
La
so.
Mochila Azul, that was you, huh?
Yeah, bro.
You were in La Mochila Azul? Except La Mochila Azul, the actual song is actually a love song.
It is, yeah.
It is a love song.
Yeah.
Myself, I was brought to the U.S. at 11 months old. And when I was brought here, I don't really recall. Obviously, I was 11 months old. But all the stories, all my family, what they told me, they literally told me how they threw me over the border and they caught me. And they make it a joke.
Same here, man.
Yeah, they make it a joke of it. When we got to San Diego, we actually got the whole family. My mom told me this. They got on the bus and they were trying to head north to Sacramento, and I mean we were just through the desert. So I mean we kind of stand out. You're not gonna be on a public bus, all full of grass, leaves, and stuff all over your hair. And they grabbed us, took us out of the bus, and put us back in TJ. We actually got deported, and then we tried again, got back. So this is what was told to me. I don't really recall, but this is what them telling me, and that's how we ended up in Sacramento because one of my uncles was here in Sac. How did you end up in Sac? Because where are you originally from?
Guatemala.
Guatemala. Yeah. Everyone's gonna say what part of Mexico is that? I'm fucking with you. So tell them where Guatemala is, just in case people don't know where Guatemala is.
Not Mexico, but Guatemala is right underneath Mexico and to the left of El Salvador.
So it's in Central America.
Yep.
Central America.
Small little country.
Yep. I was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco myself. My mother is from Michoacan. I was born in Guadalajara. As soon as I was born, they took me to Michoacan. I was more raised with the Michoacan style because I didn't really know anything Jalisco. My dad is from Jalisco, but I didn't know him. So that's my roots. And I ended up in Sacramento because my uncle was here, and you and how you end up in Sacramento?
My mother's brothers were here first. They're the first ones that came over here, and then they brought her and my dad over at the same time, in which they brought me over at the same time too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So growing up, for myself, it was a little. I can probably speak for you too. But how was it for you growing up around Americans, going to an American school, going to working around Americans, sports around Americans, and not being American? And what I mean by that is, you know, we were held back from doing a lot. So how was that for you? Tell me a little bit about that. How that was for you?
I mean, I think up until freshman year of high school, I didn't really understand where and the lifestyle that I was going to be living going forward, what it really meant. Up until then, everything seemed normal, you know, going to school, elementary, middle school. Other than the language barrier, of course, I knew my parents spoke Spanish and they didn't speak, you know, barely any English. But it wasn't until freshman year at the end, when everyone was getting their licenses to drive that's when it really hit me.
Yeah,
you know, that's the first like taste of, wow, you're actually you're not legal. You don't have
you can't do what everybody
you can't
else
do
is
anything.
doing.
Everybody was talking about, I'm gonna go get my license. You know, I got my date, and then I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know,
I remember that. Oh, I got my pink slip. I got my driving test and all that. That's exactly, for me, it was a little before. I didn't ever really understood it either. I kind of heard things here and there, but it didn't hit me until I was applying to do a boxing tournament. And when you do a boxing tournament, you have to fill out its application. One of the questions on the application, it says, are you a U.S. citizen? I asked my mom. I think I was like 12 years old, and I asked her, I'm like, hey, what do I put here? She said, put none, that you're not. So I put no. Next question was, are you what's your social security number? And I'm like, I asked her, I'm like, what is this? And she was like, you don't have one. And I was like, okay, I don't have one. All right. So I turned it in, let it go. And not having one, I went back, I gave it to my boxing coach, and he's all, well, you don't have a citizen, so you actually participate in a different bracket. So when you do a boxing tournament, there's the open division, and then there's the novice division. The open division is for boxers that are U.S. citizens, that once you win that, you go to state, then you go to nationals, and then you have a chance to be on the Olympic team or something like that. I was never able to do that because I was not a citizen. So I always competed in novice tournaments. I always, if I did a silver gloves, golden gloves, or anything like that. And right there for me, which was gonna bring up the next subject that I wanted to bring up. When I first found that out, I literally, because boxing for me was like everything to me. So when I found out I couldn't really fight for my goals, I literally went into my mindset change. My mindset change. It became damn, I can't do anything. I kind of felt like it was no point of working hard towards anything, because at the end of the day, the first question they were going to ask me was, what's your social security number? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to ask you is, how did you feel during that time when you realized that you cannot do what everyone else is doing? So all these things that people are telling you that you could do and all that, how did you feel? What went through your mind during that time when you knew you were not like the rest of the people?
I mean, for me, like I said, the first instance was the whole license thing, and I did a little research back then because I knew my parents. You know, they didn't have they didn't have any education actually. So I started going online at school and really looking into what the whole immigration thing was, and found out what it means to be illegal and all the things that you're going to be held back from college and all those things. But when I found out, man, that was probably one of the most I think one of the most confused times in my life, and depressing times in my life as a freshman in high school.
Yeah, I was super depressed. I'll be real. I was very, very depressed.
It was just it was
I
just
didn't
rough.
feel like I wanted to do anything that had to do with bettering myself. Like, I felt like school was pointless because I get a bachelor's degree. What now? You can't get a job because you don't have a social. So I kind of felt like I was between a rock and a hard spot for real. And life seems pointless. It became that way to me, no joke, that it was a point where when I was working at the smoke shop, I was literally getting ready to leave back to Mexico, because I was at the point with myself where I couldn't make the U.S. Olympic team, and I could possibility tried to qualify for the Mexican Olympic team, that I decided, why don't I just go back to Mexico, train and make a life in Mexico where I would have these opportunities that are holding me back here. And I even actually applied for 2 jobs and had Skype interviews. I was literally right there to leave when I got a new, it was actually before the smoke shop. I was at the tire shop, which was right after Granitos, where we worked.
Oh, was it?
Right, right after
afterwards?
that,
Yeah.
I worked at a tire shop. And during that time is when I was getting ready to leave to Mexico, when then I got offered a position at a smoke shop. And that smoke shop pumped the brakes for me. Was like, hold up, let's do this. And that's when I decided, you know what, you're right, let's do this. Let's give this another shot. Right now, right before this, when you and I were talking, you brought up that you had that campus on your in your house that says.
I just bought it. It'll be there like Tuesday. Yeah.
What did you say it says?
Started from the bottom.
It started from the bottom. Now we're here. So Elmer showed up to the gym right now, and he was like, "Man, this is nice, man. It's impressive." And he knows this more than anything because he knows where we came from. So when you see that, and you see where everybody struggled to get here, that's why it's so big to you. Like what I see what you're doing now is so impressive to me because I know what we both went through to get here. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that I bring that up is you said that you bought that campus, and I say you should have got one that said we started from the border and now we're here. Yeah. And the reason why I bring this up is because I don't know if you ever watched the there's a video on, I think it's on Instagram, where they put everyone on the line. Have you ever watched that? And then it says, take 1 step forward if you were raised by 2 parents. Take 5 steps forward if whatever the heck. Have you ever watched that?
No, I haven't. No.
So the point of that video, I don't really agree that they should have done that at a high school because a lot of high schools did it. I mean, there's a good way to make some kids feel bad. But they lined up a whole bunch of kids from different backgrounds, all different backgrounds. And they wanted to show what it's like to be born with, ahead of a game. It's you got some advantages. Everyone has some advantages and disadvantages. At the end of the day, it does not matter. What matters is what you do with them. And they did that. They take 2 steps forward if you did this, and everyone lines up. And they said, now we're going to start this race. The race is to the end of the floor, to whatever. Whoever gets there gets $100 first, and everyone's spread out. You got some people that damn near buy the $100 bill already. You got some people that are way in the back. And then they said, all right, we're going to say go. But who do you think is going to win? Do you feel like just because you're right here in the front, you got it? Or do you think the people in the back have no chance? And the reason why I bring this up is that analogy works for everybody. Everybody. But for a dreamer, we are not even on that line yet. That's why I say that, people say you started from the bottom, now we're here. We weren't even at the bottom. For real. That's why I say we started from the border and now we're here. Because it's nothing, damn near nothing. You're not existing. And then there's a bottom. And then you work your way to wherever you're going. Because that is really what it's like to be a dreamer. Because we first have to find our spot to even get there. We're not existing. We're not here. We don't have a social. We don't have nothing. So we don't even have the opportunities that everyone even starts off with. And I think for myself, how do you feel about this? Are you happy with, or how do you feel about the fact that you were born a dreamer? Do you feel that was an advantage to you or disadvantage, or do you think it motivated you, made you work harder? How do you feel about it now that you look back? Would you do it again or would you not? How do you feel about it?
I mean, I think, oh man, that's a tough question because it's definitely shaped me into who I am today, and I'm a very motivated individual because of that.
Exactly.
But would I want someone to go through that experience? No.
Oh yeah, it was horrible.
I've been through it, I've lived it, and I'm still living through it. But I would never want any young kid to go through the things and feelings and the confusion and all those things in their lives to feel like I'm nobody in this country, but yet I want so much to be part of it. So, I really don't have an answer, you know?
I agree. Also, I mean, it's not a good thing to offer to anybody or make anybody live through that. But one thing I will say, the fact that I lived through that, it made me appreciate. Well, the day I got my driver's license for the first time, I couldn't stop staring at it, bro. No joke. I looked at it probably for like a week straight. I could not believe I finally had a driver's license. Same thing with my Social Security. And you probably felt the same way.
Same exact thing, man.
It was such a blessing to me. It was not your typical like I guarantee your 16-year-old didn't feel this way. I looked at it. I still look at it and I don't believe it. It was such a blessing to me, and it made me appreciate this that much more. Yes, I don't think anyone else should live through that because it was hard. It was not a good time. I mean, not everyone is strong-minded and push through it. Some people, we don't know how many people probably committed suicide because of this. You know what I mean? We don't know. There's probably some people that didn't make it. And for that, myself, I feel like it made me an animal. It made me a beast. Mentally, I felt like nothing could stop me. The fact that I was able to live through that, now I know business-wise, in the ring when I competed, when I do anything in life, nothing's going to stop me because I know I can do it. You get what I'm saying?
I hear you, bro.
And I feel like that's where, in a way, it'd be kind of cool to get somebody else to feel that same way about being here. We get so many things handed to us and we just don't appreciate it as much because we didn't have to fight for it. And we had to fight for that social. We had to fight for that driver's license, and we had to fight for that right to be here. You know what I mean? And which is something that makes us really love this country.
Yeah, man. I am.
So another thing I'm gonna bring up to you as far as being a dreamer, how was it for you to find a job when you were undocumented? What kind of jobs did you get? How was that for you? Was it good jobs? Was it shitty jobs? Was it easy? Was it hard? How was it for you?
For me, I mean, the only jobs that I could get into was restaurant jobs.
Yeah.
That was it. I was a busser. I was a server. I was basically a food runner. That's all I did, you know. And I didn't get my license. Like, I don't know. It's probably because you and I are the same age, but I didn't get mine until I literally got my license in the mail on my birthday, when I was 25. Bro, that's when I got my license. And,
wow, that's when you got it.
Yeah, that's when I got it. And I filed the paperwork a couple months, and then I finally got it. Went to the DMV and all that stuff. And on my birthday, it's when it came in the mail, man. I was like,
so it was a birthday present.
Yeah, it was a birthday
Happy
present,
birthday
bro.
to you.
Yeah.
Myself, it was very similar for me. It was very under the table jobs, janitorial jobs. I did also a shitload of restaurant jobs. Everything, dishwasher to server, busser, host. The only thing I did not ever do at a restaurant was actually serve. I never served because I was always too young to serve. You had to be at least 18. And the restaurants I was at knew my mom, and they knew I wasn't 18. You know how you could kind of hide and lie that you're 19 and all that? I actually never did that. But yeah, it was difficult. I got a couple jobs that I know, like when I worked at the tire shop, I honestly feel like they knew my position and they knew what they could do as far as like they could get away with, oh, well, this guy is not going to get another job. Did you ever feel like people treated you that way or no?
No, I mean, with me, with the restaurants, it was just, I never disclosed that. And it was, and I feel embarrassed to say, but I hid that part of my life because it was just I didn't want people knowing, and I didn't want to get treated differently.
No, and that's a great, and it's good that you brought that up because for a long time, I never spoke about it to anybody. I kept it hidden too because you feel like anyone finds out what you're doing or anything happens, I mean, you're kind of in a way out there, you know what I mean? You can get deported, you get anything. So I kept it a secret until I was on my very first podcast is when I let the world know. And I actually had a big talk with my family about it. It's like, should I do it? Should I not? And in having a business, it was kind of like, man, how is everybody in your business going to look at you now? Are you going to lose clients? Are people going to want to come to your business now because you were undocumented? Are you going to this? Are you going to that? At the end of the day, I was like, it does not matter. Because if I lose clients because of what I went through in my life, then you obviously I shouldn't be associated with you because you're judging me off something I went through in my life, a struggle that I went through. So I was like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if I lose clients, I lose friends, I lose anything. I could even lose, like let's say my best friend suddenly didn't want to be my friend because of this. Bro, you're not a friend then, you know what I mean? And honestly, everybody that once I disclosed it, and I'm very prideful of it, I didn't lose anybody. I had a couple people kind of bring it up one time, but they actually were like, I'm blessed that you speak about it, you're open about it. And I'm around blessed people. I'm blessed to be around great people, in other words. Everyone here is great at the gym, and I love them to death. And so I feel you, though, because I was like that for a long time. I was embarrassed to say anything because of that. And you're totally right, bro. When you were working, did you get internal? Did you get an internal revenue service, the IRS little? I think it's an I-10 number, like internal tax number. It's ITN. It's called an ITN number. Did you get one to do taxes when you were?
Yeah.
You did, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing I try to tell people. The IRS actually gives you a number, which is like a social security number. And all you can do with that number is pay taxes. So when people say, this is a little side note, a little off subject, but I'm going to throw it in there. That shit drove me nuts. I hated the fact that we get mistreated. We weren't able to get no driver's license. All these things that we're paying taxes for. And then on TV, you'll get people say that, oh, they don't pay taxes. I'm like, wait, hold up. Who doesn't? Because you could look at all my taxes, and I paid taxes the whole time I was undocumented. I paid taxes. And
Man,
you
I
did too?
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting because I never really thought about it. I just always thought I was doing the right thing.
Yeah,
by
well, it
just
is the
doing
right thing.
You know,
it is the right thing. I didn't think about it until later on when I was like, you know what? That's fucked up. Because we're paying taxes,
right? Yeah.
And we can't do all that.
Don't even have a
Yeah, so it's like, I get it. Whatever. Well, the best way you can kind of describe it is, my friend told me this, and it's true. He's like, imagine when you go to someone's house, you're at someone's house, and your kid gets in trouble, but then your kid is there with his friend, and they both did something at your house that gets in trouble. Is your kid gonna get in the same type of trouble as his friend that doesn't live there, that is not his house? Probably not. Your kid is probably gonna get timed out, go to the room, get a couple spanking. That's it. The other kid is probably gonna get kicked the fuck out the house. Don't ever come back to my house. That's how the way you got to kind of look at it. You know what I mean? You kind of have to look at it as we're visiting. We're not really from here, even though we've been here all our lives. On paper, we're technically not supposed to be here. So that's where after hearing that, I kind of was like, okay, you kind of got to understand it. And that's when the first time I heard about the DREAM Act. Do you remember the first time you heard about it?
I did, yeah, man. I was in high school.
It
was rumors.
It was rumors, yeah.
Yeah.
It was called the DREAM Act at the beginning, not DACA. Now it's DACA.
You know what's crazy? That's the one thing, that one rumor, because we graduated out of high school when we were 18.
Yeah.
For 7 years, that was the one thing that I hung on to as hope that someday it would be established.
Yep,
You
very
know?
true.
And
I did the same thing, brother.
Yeah.
I did the exact same thing. I was like, man. And I remember the DREAM Act actually got shut down.
Mm-hmm. Several times.
It got shut down because it first came up as a DREAM Act. And what that was supposed to be is we were actually going to get citizenship. It was like you get full throttle, you're a U.S. citizen since you've been here since a kid. And they got shut down, and it didn't finally pass until Barack Obama brought it back as a deferred action for childhood arrivals. And what that is what is a dreamer now, that every 2 years you have to renew your permit to be here, and there's a work permit. So every 2 years you get a new work permit, and then you pay biannually, which I don't think they're ever gonna take away, because you know how much money they're making off of that. They're making a crazy amount of money. They will not remove that ever. I don't believe so, and I also believe they will never take it away and deport everybody, because that's a lot of money they have to spend to deport everybody. Also, there's a lot of money they lose out on. Do I agree with it? No. I think they should do something to make sure that we're citizens. That's just my opinion. I mean, since this is our life, we've been here since forever. But yeah, how do you feel about the future of DACA? Like, I know there's been a lot of rumors that they're going to take away, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. How do you feel about it?
It's rough because I'm hoping for the best, but anything can happen.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen crazy things happen, and so I'm trying to be the best and the most I can be while I have the chance that I do.
Yep.
Just in general, but I'm hoping for the best. Obviously, I have a kid now. You know, the last thing I would ever want to happen is for me to go undocumented, and what's going to happen?
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel the same way. There's rumors that they wanted to take away and do all that. I came to peace with myself that whatever happens, whatever it is, I'll make it anywhere.
Exactly.
I'll make it anywhere.
Yeah.
You could put me in the middle of Africa or in China. I won't know the language. My mindset and my work ethic, I'll make it anywhere. And if they don't want me here, I'll find it. I'll make it happen somewhere else. I love it here. This is my home. I love Sacramento. Everyone knows that. I love everything. I love this community. I love this family. I hope that never happens. I want to stay here forever. But in my mindset is, I'm not going to sit here and feel depressed over whatever is not in my hands. I'll make it happen anywhere and just keep it going. But real talk, I don't think that will happen. I think it will stay deferred action forever, and every 2 years we're going to be paying, which is okay. I don't mind. I don't mind paying. That'll be our little punishment for the rest of our lives, which I'm okay with. How was the process for you when you first got DACA? How was that for you?
For me, it wasn't. I mean, I
remember we would call each other a lot. You were like, "Hey, you're doing this, you do that." You did it with an attorney, right?
I did it with a lawyer, and that's the other thing too. I mean, with these things, a lot of people will benefit from. The people that don't benefit are us having to pay the thousands of dollars, and because you don't know any better, you know. And so your person says, "Yeah, I can do the paperwork for you. It's going to cost you X amount," and you're just like, "Great." I mean, if you would have charged me more, I would have paid it.
Yeah, because we have no choice.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. Very true. I actually was blessed with the fact that my best friend, mi compadre Eric, his wife, they really helped me through everything. And myself, I literally, when it passed, this is how excited I was about it. When it passed, I literally stayed up all night reading all the applications, figuring out what exactly I had to do, and I made it happen. I remember the song I was listening to. I put a song on repeat. I was so pumped for that moment. There was no way in hell I didn't have everything done ASAP, because that's how bad I wanted my license. That's how bad I wanted my social. And that's how bad I was ready to go on and move on with my life. I was fed up with where I was at. And that's how pumped up I was that I didn't sleep. And I got it right away. I did everything, filed that shit, put it together. And I remember there was a lot of people that were like, "Oh, maybe it's a trap. They want to know where you live to come deport you." Remember that?
Yep.
Anyone ever tell you that? I'm like, bro.
I thought about it, man.
Yeah. A lot of people said that to me too. Like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that because they just want to know where you're at when they come deport you." I was like, look, you think they really don't know where I'm at? They are probably already know where I'm at. And if that is what is going on, you're going to live in fear all your life. Oh, don't do that because it's going to happen. You're going to have a very depressed life because you're going to be never taking any risks. And to do anything in life, you have to take risks. Whatever kind of risk it is, just driving to work is a risk. You may get hit by a car. You may get in a car accident. So if you're going to live all sheltered and afraid to do anything because something may happen, then good luck with you with life. So when you finally got DACA, tell me what happened. What changed for you as
I wanted to work. I wanted to make money. I wanted to,
you were already working, but now what you mean by that is you're ready to start making real money, a real job, a career job that you didn't have before. Correct?
I started a trucking business within the first month that I got all of my paperwork. I had some money saved away. My mother had some money saved away. I had 2 uncles in the trucking business that own their businesses, and they just helped me with all the paperwork. And I
remember we went to go eat at a Mexican restaurant right before that, and you were talking your ear off about your trucking. I remember you were telling me, "I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that." I was like, "Bro, that's dope, bro. I'm excited for you." Are you still doing the trucking?
No, I sold the business 4 years ago. I sold it because then it just wasn't for me. Trucking business is a rough business.
It is.
And
so what do you recommend for anybody trying to do a trucking business? What do you recommend to them as far as doing it? If I'm right now a 20-year-old man getting into, and I'm, trucking sounds cool. What would be your tip to me as a 20-year-old man thinking about doing trucking? What would be your tip?
It would be getting to know other people who have been in the business for a long time, and then seeing if that lifestyle is what you want for the rest of your life.
And that's a good point that you brought that up, because I don't know if you ever know this about me. I'm gonna tell you, I was a service manager at a dealership, and I was making great money. I was making over $100K a year. I worked Monday through Thursday, off Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Spoiled as it can be on paper, but Monday I fucking hated my job. Hated my job on Monday, and what helped me is that right there, what you said. What do you do? Get familiar with people that already done it. And when we had a regional meeting with all the service managers in the dealership, I talked to a dude that had been in the game for 20 years, and I asked him. And when I asked him this, I wanted to know what it was like to be in the game for 20 years and learn off him. So I asked him, what would you do different if you were me? And the guy told me, I would get the hell out of it. I would do something else. He said, I've been divorced 3 times. I got diabetes now. I'm not healthy, blah, blah, blah. And when he told me that, that's when I started saving money for a gym. That's why I was shit. I'm definitely doing it. He woke me up. Because I was comfortable. I could easily stay there for the rest of my life because the money was good, comfortable. The job I hated, but the money was great. And when money is great, it's hard to walk away from. Yep. So that's good that you brought that up because it's a great tip. When you are going to do anything in life, find somebody that's doing it, has been doing it a long time. Look at their lifestyle. Look at how they live, how they work, how they're everything. And if you want their life and that looks like a great life to you and you see they're happy and they're telling you they're happy and everything fits you, do it. Go for it. But it doesn't fit you, leave it alone. Find something else. Find your passion. But we got a little bit off subject there. I just wanted to make sure what changed for you. And it was similar for what changed for me. When I got DACA, I actually left the smoke shop, and that's when I got my first dealership job. And the funny thing about that for me is I always wanted to work. When I was a kid, I mean, like a teenager, I was like, oh, I want to do smog on cars. I want to do this. And I got that job. When I was actually working on cars and I had a smog shop, I was working at the smog shop, I told myself, I want to work at a dealership. Because a dealership to mom and pop shops is like the pinnacle. It's like, oh, shit, you're working at a dealership. You know what I mean? Like you're making good money, you got benefits, you have this, you have that. And that was what I wanted. So when DACA came, I got that. I finally got that job that I wanted, the career. And I was so happy. My wife, my wife now, she was my girlfriend at the time. She was pregnant. We were about to have our first kid, and this all kind of fell right on the perfect timing. My kid was coming. I got this job at a dealership, and it couldn't be more better because I was getting a good job, and it was all thanks to DACA. Otherwise, I would have been fucked. I would have to work 2 jobs or something to support both of them if that's what I wanted to do. But yeah, so what would you tell anybody besides now? Is there any tips or anything you would tell anybody that's undocumented or going through a similar situation or feeling kind of how we felt? What would you tell them what did you do to push through not being able to fight for your goals in your life? What did you do and where did you tell yourself to stay motivated? What would you tell somebody that's going through that right now?
My biggest thing was I kept hope, but being undocumented, you'll meet other people who are undocumented out there, but just aren't motivated, right? You'll always get the half and half people who don't have that opportunity or do and won't do anything with it. Bottom line for me, being in the state that I'm in and where I was, it just made me somebody who was really hungry. And like he said earlier, I came to realization and I came to being okay with the fact that, all right, if I don't get my license ever, if I don't become a citizen ever, it is what it is. I'm going to make it wherever I go. Yep. I'll figure it out. And
that's the mindset you need. You need a who gives a fuck kind of mindset. Really. Exactly. I don't care. And that I don't care. What I mean by that is I'll make it happen. I don't care where you put me in. I'll make it happen. Exactly. Start thinking like that and believe in it.
You'll figure it out. Yeah.
One thing somebody always brought up to me is military. Did you ever try to join the military to get your paperwork or anything like that?
Man, when I was back then, what was it, 21? At 21, when I didn't think there was anything that was going to come up, I was like, you know what, maybe I should do the military. 4 years of my life to have the rest of my life, it's worth it.
It's worth it, yep. I also did the same thing. The first thing I tried to join was the Navy with my boy Anthony, David's brother, actually. He wanted to join the Navy, so he was very close to me, and I was like, you know what, let's do it together. I'll get my paperwork right. Didn't work. After that, I went on my own. I tried to join the Army and the Air Force. The Army and the Marines. I really wanted to join the Army because at that time I was kind of like interested in their boxing program, and they had a firefighter training that I thought firefighting was pretty cool, and none of them let me. they're like, you need to be at least a resident or something, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So the reason why I bring that up is a lot of people feel like, oh, then why don't you just join the military and get your paperwork? Man, the military doesn't even accept you. So it was just, even that option was not there. Last thing that I'm going to say to this is thank you, Elmer, for coming on here and accepting my invitation, brother. I appreciate you like crazy. This is a very touchy subject, and it's something that a lot of people don't want to talk about it. And I decided to bring this on to you because we lived it together. I literally was talking to you about it with you. We were together in the process, and I wouldn't want to do this with anybody else but you. And I'm very blessed, and I'm very thankful that you accepted, that you came here on your day off. You could have been somewhere else, and you decided to be here. So thank you for that. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now. How can people connect with you? What do you do for a living? How can people support your business and what you do? Tell us.
I'm a loan officer. 3-4 years ago when I sold the trucking business, I sold it because of the lifestyle. But I knew a couple friends who were loan officers back then, and they were living the life that I wanted. They were home, and I always wanted a family, a wife, and kids. And so got with them, got to know what they did. And then one of my friends that I grew up with as well said, you know, you should apply, man. I did, and I've been with the company now for 4 years, and I love it. I love the company I'm with. It's called Loan Pal. I do mortgages, refinances. I can help you get into a home if you wanted to, see, or at least show you if you wanted to qualify, you know, the things that you would need, the income and all those type of things.
Yeah,
basically I do the numbers.
Give you an idea, which is actually best. I noticed when I bought is you want to get pre-approved for whatever much money you are, and then you have an idea what kind of home you're going to be in. Don't do the opposite and go house shopping and then not be able to afford
it.
You know what I mean? Yep. So the first person you want to see is this guy, and then go look at the houses. But how can we get in contact with you? Your social media, your number, how can we contact you? Your email, how?
Yeah, my office number is always open to anybody who wants to call, 916-262-8631, and I welcome all cell phone calls too, 916-224-3159.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you, Elmer. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Like always, give some feedback, leave us a review. Thank you so much for listening, and we out.